the Sacramento Kings. Can they make a deep playoff run?
Your Kings.
It's a great question.
I've been preparing for this all day long. All day long. This is the first topic I prepared for today. Because the answer is obviously yes. But the fans, the audience, they deserve an answer that's much more deeper than just a yes, Dehls. They deserve an explanation.
That's what we do here.
And you know what? I think I need to do some convincing. I don't know how convinced Dehls is. I don't know how convinced Riv is. I feel Drew teeter in the line.
I thought you were going to respect me, but I guess that's fine too.
But I think it's time to tug Drew in because he's the one closest.
Nice tugging.
Now listen. First of all, shout out to Kings. First winning record since 2006. 42-27 officially. They will have a winning record. Second in the West, 9-2 since the All-Star break, and 22-13 since the start of 2023. I was reading an article from Mark Schindler, who writes for the Up Rocks, and the first sentence of his article resonated with me. You want to know what it was, Dehls?
Tell me.
It was, everybody always talks about how the Kings will fail in the playoffs, but nobody talks about how they can succeed.
I agree.
People look at them as an inexperienced team. This is an easy outing, and I disagree. I think they're going to be one of the toughest playoff teams to bounce out because, let me just get into the explanation. They lead the NBA in offensive rating. They are a historic offense. They have the best offensive rating in NBA history. They're a top 5 transition team. Unlike the Memphis Grizzlies, who are great in transition, but their half-court offense is limited, and that can be exploited in the playoffs, the Kings are top 5 in transition. They're the second best half-court offense in the NBA. Look at De'Aaron Fox in the clutch. 5.2 points per game in the clutch. Steph Curry is the second closest at 4.4. That's a significant drop-off. And then you look at the Kings in the fourth quarter. Offensive rating in clutch time is 129.3. The next closest is the Lakers at 116.9. Now, why will their offense succeed in the playoffs? It's easy. It's not easy to defend. It's not as easy as forcing Sabonis right.
Yep.
I'm sorry, John. It's not. Respect the Kings. I'm looking at you right now, John.
I think Sabonis is going to be one of the 4 players in NBA history to average 17, 12, and 7 assists. I think it's Jokic, Wilt, and him. One other player I'm blanking off the top.
He's
of
an
my head.
elite company.
Maybe? I don't.
What was the number again?
It's 17, 12, and 7 assists. I don't know if Wallen ever averaged 7 assists. Off the top of your head, do you know that?
I'll think and I'll let you get back to it.
All
Don't
right.
look it up. Actually, look it up and
I
see,
will.
and then
I will.
I'll think.
What's so special about the Kings offense is that they're not relying on ISOs. They're not. They're relying on ball movement, on player movement, and it's not just one layer of their offense. It's everything that's great. Transition in the half court, running sets, split cuts, which is the hardest action to guard currently in the NBA, pistol sets, dribble handoffs. The constant movement creates consistent opportunities for these players. And these guys are road warriors. I think at home, people are going to want to hate to play them. This is the first time Kings fans are going to experience a playoff game in 16 years. You know how animated they're going to be? You know how hard it's going to be to win in that arena? The Kings have a legit home court advantage, but on the road, they're 10th in defensive rating. They're 5th in net rating. 21-13 record on the road, the best road record in the Western Conference.
By far.
Now, at home, it's weird because they have the 28th defensive rating at home, but they're 10th on the road.
Magic?
It was Oscar.
Fuck.
Yeah. That would have been a tough guess.
I thought it was Magic.
For me, I look at the Kings. I don't think they're as bad as their 28th defense rating at home or their 10th ranked defense rating on the road. I think they're in the middle. Defensively, they do a poor job at closing out, but they scramble really well. I think they show effort. They rebound the ball. Sabonis leads the NBA in rebounding, and they contest shots. That's one thing they do very well. Now, you mentioned Sabonis, another stat. He has 420 in 20 games this season. Second is Giannis. I've seen this team win so many close games this season. I'd argue they are the most prepared team for the playoffs. Every
In
game
the
this
NBA?
season has been a playoff game for the Kings.
I disagree with that.
Every other game,
Milwaukee's more ready.
Well, of course, they're champions. They're champions. Every other game that the Kings have played has been a playoff game. It's been extremely close. It has been. And you know what? I was doing some research. For one, I want to say this. The way the Kings operate in clutch time is not a fluke. It's precise. They operate with precision.
They do.
They trust what they do, and they succeed at it. Winning these many close games is a skill. The last time a team made the Western Conference Finals with a bottom 20 defensive rating was the 2009-2010 Phoenix Suns. Another offense that for the time was a historic offense with Steve Nash, Stoudemire, and co. The Suns were first in offensive rating, 23rd in defensive rating. In that Suns playoff run, they beat the Blazers in the first round 4-2, who had the 7th-ranked offense and the 15th-ranked defense. So you could say the Blazers were a more balanced team. Then in the second round, the Suns swept the Spurs. The Spurs had the 9th-ranked offense and the 8th-ranked defense. The Spurs were a top 10 offense and defense, and the Suns still beat them because they had the best offense in the NBA and still a bottom 20 defense. What this tells me is that outliers exist. If you do something at a historically great level, although their defense could be a concern, they are so good offensively that in the playoffs, it's not going to matter much when it comes to the first round or maybe even the second round. I think the Kings are making the conference finals. I think they will make the conference finals. I think they'll get past the first round. They'll get past the second round. And this team is special. This team is special.
I see you didn't mention that Brandon Roy played 3 games that series.
Look at the Spurs.
Tony
Parker, and Duncan all played.
I like that. You didn't add the context. I had to look that up real quick.
Mr. Context.
Sometimes you got to get lucky.
Leaving out context?
No, I just wanted to see what team was that, honestly, and then I just seen that he only played 3 games. But nonetheless, still a good win. I just wanted to see what team was that. The Blazers and shit.
Do you want me to talk or you go?
Is he done? I know
he's done.
I'm done.
Cooked up?
The Spurs, just letting you know, Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker all played.
No, yeah. I just wanted to see who they played.
Another difference from last year to this year with the Sacramento Kings is that last year they were the second worst three-point shooting team in the league. Now they're top 5 group. They actually knocked down their shots. One thing you mentioned, they're a well-oiled machine and they're very precise in how they run their offense and how they really try to win a basketball game. We were watching the Knicks game, and De'Aaron Fox really was calm quarters 1 through 3. He really was not doing that much, was not that active. But then quarter 4, when De'Aaron Fox is needed most, he came alive. I think, what did he have, 18 points? Something crazy like that? I remember it was an egregious number. He took over the game. And it's pretty smart that you have arguably the most athletic guy on the court, definitely the fastest guy on the court in De'Aaron Fox. His ability to get to the hole is amazing, really. But he seems to be his most fresh, his most ready in the fourth quarter, and it's been the story all season long, which is why he has been one of the reasons why he's been the most clutch scorer in the NBA. You mentioned it, Domantas Sabonis. I already talked about it a little bit. Domantas Sabonis, one of 4 players in NBA history to average 17, 12, and 7 for a season. Sabonis has been special. Now, let me ask you, was that 20 and 20 the 4 games this season, including last night's?
Correct.
He continues to put on special performance after special performance, and his ability to move the basketball. When you have a big that can facilitate your offense as well, it becomes a luxury. And when Sabonis is as great as he is, one of the second best big men passers in the NBA, and the ball movement is as great as it is for Sacramento, the offense is going to continue to be high-powered. In the playoffs, I don't have a concern about their offense. I will say I am still concerned about their defense. You make a valid point about them probably being somewhere in the middle, but why I'm a little bit more concerned is how can you be worse defensively in your home stadium? Really, your energy should be most in your home stadium. You probably should feel the most locked in your home stadium. For it to be the complete opposite is very mind-boggling to me, to be completely honest with you. And especially in the playoffs where you're going to have home court advantage, are you going to struggle to play defense in your home court? Is that going to be a problem where home court advantage is not a home court? We know that isn't the issue with Sacramento to a degree because the crowds in the stadium, just the energy in that building is different. This season, they have been one of the teams that fans have rallied around the most. The Kings really have been great, but that defense still is a concern to me if they go up against a high-powered offense. A high-powered offense, but as well as a defense that is still great. You mentioned the Phoenix Suns and the Spurs, no doubt about it. That definitely is understandable to use as a historical reference. But more often than not, we see the complete team win. The luxury here with the Kings is there's no real complete team in the Western Conference. Is there a complete team to you? We look at the Nuggets. Offensively, they're amazing. The second best offensive rating in the NBA. Their defense is fraudulent. No doubt about it. You look at the Phoenix Suns. With Kevin Durant, their offense is going to be amazing, and they will go tit for tat. And I would probably lean Phoenix in a series if Kevin Durant's healthy, regardless. But their defense is still really good. The Suns fully healthy is the one team that I really look at with the Kings, and I'm just like, fuck, I really don't know. Clippers,
Suns with
the
KD.
Suns with KD. Clippers, they're
Clutch.
too inconsistent.
Clutch time. They're not good.
And come crunch time, like Riv's alluding to, you can't really rely on them, whereas the complete polar opposite for the Kings, you can rely on them 100% come crunch time. I won't mention every other team. You know I want to talk about the Lakers, but regardless of that, but to talk about the teams right now that are locked in top 6, there is no complete team.
You didn't say my Warriors.
I apologize because I don't trust them at all.
You was going to mention the Lakers.
I said I'm a Lakers
Kings would
fan.
beat them in a series.
You don't have
Possible.
wings.
It's possible.
You don't have wings, and your defense is mid, and that's the real concern for me.
We're
We're going to talk about them later, so I didn't want to go too in depth on the
Our
Warriors.
defense is mid on the road.
It is.
Everything's mid on the road for you.
It is, and if
Oh,
you
no,
guys
offense is all right.
and if you guys aren't going to have home court advantage, that's also a
Yeah.
struggle.
I didn't mention this either, but De'Aaron Fox is ready.
For what?
Nah, he's ready for primetime.
De'Aaron Fox has been waiting for this moment, and he's going to show up.
I'm sure he is ready.
And Kevin Huerter has been shooting 52% from the 3 in March.
Okay,
He's
I was
heating
gonna
up.
say, just mentioned Kevin Huerter's day-to-day with a hamstring injury.
they got lucky.
Yeah, it could have been
Yeah,
worse.
for sure.
They got, that was great for them. It wasn't that bad.
Just like Fox is ready, I'm sure Luka, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, the Joker, they're all pretty much ready for this type of moment. Can the Kings make a deep run? This is a tough question, I think, because I think, like you mentioned, like you talked about the Suns, like in your soliloquy, you talked about a lot of historical shit that has a lot of years in between it. You know, the Suns was 2009, 2010. You know, there's a lot of historical offenses that have those breaks in between NBA history. And this is a team that's one of the best offenses in the league by far. Defensively, they're probably, 28th at home, 10th on the road. So they're probably like 18th to 20th range. They're probably
19th,
like, in the middle of the range. So they're not a good defense. They're not a bad defense. They're like kind of like not that good. But for me in the West, it's just about who in a 7-game series is going to be able to crack down and defend. I think for the most part, we've noticed in the West, nobody can really defend right now. The Clippers, the Warriors, the Nuggets, the Kings. Only the Grizzlies is the one team, but offensively in half court, they're not good. But only the Grizzlies are probably the one team that consistently has been able to defend all year round. It's just going to be about who comes to defend. But like you mentioned, there's a lot of things to look forward to with the Kings. Have De'Aaron Fox, who's been by far. I looked at the number the other day. It's Fox, then Gaps, then DeMar DeRozan, baby. So DeMar's still up there in clutch buckets. But you have one of the clutchest players in the NBA. You have a high-powered offense. You have shooters. You have Mike Brown, who's implemented a system that's similar to the Warriors system. And if you see the Warriors system, it has succeeded in the playoffs, which also gives you another confidence. Like, all right, that system works. Our system works. Maybe it can work. Right. So it's a lot of things for the Kings to work in their favor.
Can I ask you a question? Another thing because we understand Mike Brown historically has been known to be a defensive coach. How nuts is it that his defense is his main issue and his offense is historic?
I just don't think the Kings have the personnel to defend at a high level. I think they're very small. They have Fox, Monk. Yeah. Kevin Huerter's not that good of a defender. He's 6'8", but he's not strong. You know what I'm saying? So they just don't have the personnel. So if you don't have the personnel, it's not much you can really do. You can try to implement the system. And the
Barnes, Keegan, and Lyles isn't really moving it.
Not really. Not to move a whole team. And the Kings they defend when they need to. They get these good stops, and you can't stop their offense.
In the fourth quarter, they're 15th in defensive rating.
Yeah, so see, they're middle of the pack, and that's what you
that's
want.
That's all they need to be.
Yeah. I will say this about the Kings: the Kessler Edwards acquisition was very good. He's provided them with some wing minutes that they desperately needed. He's hit shots,
that's legend.
And I don't know if he'll get playoff minutes because he's a very young player, but I won't be surprised if Trey Lyles is that sixth man that's coming with Malik Monk. Him and Malik Monk are going to be staples in the playoff rotation Davion Mitchell, maybe depending on matchup.
Oh, I'm sorry, y'all.
Jesus.
Oh,
Again.
wow. Davion Mitchell, depending on matchup. Trey Lyles is somebody that I think he can defend as well as Keegan and Harrison Barnes, and he's somebody that has been one of their more important players, and whenever he's on the court, they go on these runs. So he might be somebody that come playoff time is really important for them.